12.4. This is indirection operator. Indirection operator. This is also a star symbol. One thing, same symbol we are using for many purposes. From the beginning you know that it is a multiplication operator. And with comments also you are using, that is slash and star, or star and slash. And here for declaring pointers we are using it. At the same time, we are using this as an indirection operator. Indirection operator, only conceptually you can understand that, simply you cannot explain like plus, minus and all. Now you see, int v is equal to 10. Int star pv. pv is and v. This is initialization of pointers. The three steps already explained. Now, in order to retrieve 10, we use v. In a printf statement, if you write v, you can retrieve 10, that you know. There is an indirect way. What is the indirect way? Now we created pointer, and that is a pointer variable we created pv, and write star pv. Star pv also retrieves 10. What is the meaning of this? You must understand. And wherever star is there, just you substitute this phrase, value stored yet. This is the phrase you apply, and pv. pv is the address. Value stored at pv. Now with reference to figure you can better understand. Now this is v, here 10 is stored, this is pv, this is pv. Now let us say it is 651, then this is 700, 651 is stored here, and with the reference to this figure you understand the meaning of this. Value stored at pv. Whenever indirection operator used, wherever symbol you substitute this phrase, you replace the symbol with this phrase, value stored at pv. pv, what is pv's value? Now 651. Now value stored at the address, at the, otherwise for the more detail, at the address 651. What is there? 10. Now if you write v, you can retrieve 10. If you write star pv also, you can retrieve 10 once you have written the three statements. That point to understand. And why should we write? V is very simple for us, and why should we write star pv? Actually, this is an indirect way of retrieving value 10. Here, one secret you have to understand. If you write v, it is very simple to you. It is a direct way to you, like calling your friend as Shyam. It is very simple to you, but it is not direct for processor. In order to understand or retrieve this 10, compiler has to make an operation and translates and tell the processor a particular address. In that address, the 10 is stored. So compiler creates overheads for us. And suppose if you are able to, instead of v, if you are able to write star pv, compiler's role is minimized, and the processor can directly understand. Whatever is direct to you, it is indirect to the processor, and whatever is direct to the processor, that is indirect to you. This is like, you can call your friend with a simple name, Shyam, but his roll number, it may be difficult for you to remember. Here, processor deals with addresses, we deal with names. whenever you use name and all that, compiler has to translate and give, finally it has to give address of the data. Address of data. Processor does not know all these, your name, height, weight and all that. Processor knows addresses and the value stored in that. So, if you write star PV like notation, then processor can easily understand, and compiler's role is reduced. Compiler's role is reduced. Obviously, your program efficiency is increased. Understand? Suppose you want to learn a C language from me, all of you came to me, but you do not know my language, I do not know your language. Then what we are doing, we are appointing a translator who knows both the languages. Then whatever I teach, it translates and tell you, and whatever you ask, it translates and asks. Then by that, the overheads are more. Suppose this lesson, I may take 2 hours. If this process, translation process is there, I may take 4 hours. It may require 4 hours time. That is the overhead. Overhead means in order to perform a productive job, what is the extra time required? That is overhead. Suppose you have attended this 2 hours class. In order to attend this 2 hours class, another 2 hours for coming, going and other things you are spending. That means for productivity activity of 2 hours, another unproductive activity of 2 hours you are bearing, that is called overhead. So, in high level languages, a lot of overheads are there. There is no other go. Compiler has to translate. So, for compilation sake, compiler takes its time. It is a overhead. Because of these pointer notations, now we are able to reduce the role of compiler. That's why overheads are reduced. Overheads are reduced means your program efficiency is increased. Now suppose for attending this 2 hours class, you are spending another 2 hours for coming, going and all that. Suppose you have taken a room just nearby to our institution, then within 10 minutes you can come and go. Then your overheads are enormously reduced. Understand? So that is overhead, and by using pointer notation, then the overhead, the compiler's role is reduced. That's why efficiency of the program is executed faster, because compiler's compilation as a role is reduced, and then efficiency is increased. So why it is called indirection operator? So V is the direct way for us, and star PV is the direct way for processor. Otherwise, V is a direct way for us, V is indirect way of representing value to processor. Star PV is a direct way of communicating, giving a data to processor, and this is a indirect notation. So it is star PV is a indirect notation. By using star we are getting, that's why it is called indirection operator. And see this program 12.5. All the notation very carefully understand. Now with reference to this figure, you understand here just values are changed. 65,524. This is 65,522. For the sake of convenience, I take 524 and 522, and then we can easily pronounce. And now this is the way. With reference to this, you study every notation in the program, and V is the name, and value in the ordinary variable 10, its address, and V 65,524, and indirect way star PV is 10, that is value stored at the address. Wherever star is there, you substitute this phrase, value stored at the address. And PV, what is the PV's value? PV's value is nothing but and V, that is 524. So value stored at the address 524 10. So Now you are writing that star PV, then that is also 10, and star and V is nothing but PV, because we assigned that value only, then that is also 10. Address of and PV, address of PV, address of PV, you see, address of PV is 65,000 522. PV is uh, 65,524, and PV comes 65,000. PV is 65,524 and PV is 65,522. With reference to this figure, you understand every concept. One thing I am telling you, always while reading output, keep a track of the statements as well as the figure. With reference to figure, if you study every notation without any confusion, you understand. Initially, you have to make a little more exercise comparatively with the other notations. Already I told you, pointers, if you know the basics well and all that, it is not a complex one. Many people tell pointers are very difficult because they never focus on the basic. Now, a simple concept I have given in number of pages. Why? Each and every point you have to understand practically. Then only it is possible to thoroughly understand pointer notations. Then your job will be easy to understand advanced notations.